Are you young enough to remember when the cool thing in the 90s was to be like angsty and not want exposure and to be sort of insulated, and like the cool skaters were the ones who like just looked at the ground and like it seemed like they weren't courting attention. And the same thing with bands where there was this like massive stigma against being thirsty for attention. Or I remember like the Roots, I think, did a Coca-Cola commercial and got like eternally smeared for it. And that's the kind of thing that like every artist is basically searching for at this point.
I think there's still pockets like that in anything, you know?
Probably true if you're in like an indie rock world. But even in those worlds, in those music festivals, they still have sponsored stages, and there's still like, I think there's way less of it. Although, like, okay, if you're in an indie band, if you're in like a really cool, angsty indie band, I don't think you could do a Manscaped deal on your Instagram.
Correct.
Definitely not on your album.
Right. Yeah, that's just the sound intro. It's just a Manscaped.
But you have to make those decisions. Like, if I'm a rapper, that is an extremely important thing to put into your mental state. Well, it's like every single little decision like that colors how the public is going to view you.
I think you can stay true to yourself as much as you want, and you'd be like, nah, fuck that. But then all of a sudden, McDonald's comes to you and they go, we got $1 million for you to write a song. And then you go, what am I going to do? Fucking stay true to myself or get $1 million? And is that selling out?
But even like a McDonald's, I think for the most part is going to want you to present it in a way where you still seem cool. You know, like when you look at how McDonald's did their deal with Travis Scott, it didn't make Travis Scott seem whack. It made him seem cooler. Okay. But also, we get judged by a different standard because we're podcasters. You're a comedian. I'm a Instagram dude, whatever the fuck you want to call it. But for us to go do a brand deal for some goofy ass shit, it's like, I don't think like our audiences are likely to care because that's just normalized in our field. Whereas if you are trying to portray a certain like kind of cool image, like Playboy Cardi is not going to do a BetterHelp deal.
Right.
Even though maybe he should.
I mean, there's some wild deals out there. Every once in a while, like, how the fuck did they get? But when it does work out, like Yeet and fucking Minions, like that is.
That's an example of being able to do it and still keep it kind of cool.
Which was got to be a risk considering how big he had gotten. And that was a pretty early deal in his career to take. Because usually people would be like, once you start taking weird ass deals like that early, people are like, this ship has sailed. He's doing commercial shit now.
I could have seen it going differently. Maybe if it was presented differently, or if it wasn't a Lyrical Lemonade thing, or if there weren't all these things surrounding it to make it seem cool, then maybe it could have came off lame.
Yeah, I don't. But the fact that the Minions already had like a meme behind it.
Yeah, that's true.
And then his song was kind of tied to it. Like it was the best case scenario for the internet. But I just think that if you take a deal that's too weird, it's like anybody would take that deal. Where you go, $1 million, take some weird fucking song, or just stay true to yourself. You're like, well,
yeah,
I don't know. But sometimes you got to just understand. Like I got offered a deal for there was a nicotine. They wanted me to make a video that I do that's very like kind of like tends to get some views is like it's like I call them like one-liners where it's just quick, fast paced. Like I'll talk about like Bang Energy and be like rattle off like 50 lines on it, and then just like 50 like quick jokes and cut back and forth to different scenes. It's fast paced. A nicotine company was like, we want you to do that. You don't even have to say it's a sponsored thing, but we want you to do this about these like I think it was like pouches or something, and they were offering like a significant amount of money. And I was like about to do it. I was like, dude, I can't be fucking.
Like more than you would get from your usual sponsor?
Yeah. One video, I didn't have to tag them. I didn't have to do anything. It would have just been like, I don't even know what the fuck the brand would, but it would have been like guys who chew blank or guys who use blank and then insert their name. And they were offering like for real bags, and I was
yeah, I would feel dirty doing that.
100%, and that's what I didn't do it, but
it's something that actually is causing very significant physical harm to your viewers, and that feels like a bridge too far. And sometimes I feel that way about some of the gambling sponsors too. Is like for me personally, I don't even have like if I'm playing a gambling thing on stream or whatever, which I've done it a couple times, probably won't do it again. But and poker is different. I do poker sponsorship stuff, but like with the gambling stuff,
at least poker is in the realm of poker, right?
Well, in the realm of gambling, but it's like a skill game that is also gambling, which is like way different than slots, where it's like there's no skill, there's no way that you could play this game that would make it a profitable endeavor for you, and it's like I know that and I get that, but if you're a person who's streaming and gambling, you're pretty much just taking aim at people who don't understand that, asking them to go donate their money to a big ass corporation, and they're going to pay you money in order to bring those customers in.
Well, when this brand deal came about, I like asked and I was like, is there a way that I can like start the video by being like, I do not think you guys should go out and get nicotine, but if you already use it, and then like do like a disclaimer and then the sketch. So like no,
They weren't feeling that.
no, because they wanted it to be like, you know, it's like back in the cowboy days when you're smoking Marlboros. It's like we want the coolest guy to make this look cool, and then the second you go on air or camera and be like, I don't think you should do this.
Right.
Then it's like,
you wouldn't do a fentanyl ad.
yeah, hey, what are we talking?
You know,
Hey, 100K.
But you wouldn't do a fentanyl ad. I'm going to assume. I'm going to go on a limb.
Right, correct.
So it's like, is the nicotine pouch as bad as fentanyl? No, but is it like maybe 1% or 2% as bad? Like
Just not a
honestly,
great
it's just a
look.
terrible thing that is very bad for your health
Not
in the
a great
long run.
look.
Like,
Right.
and optically, this is some goofy ass shit that I don't really want to be associated with.
Right,
And I'm
the
down to
video-
associate myself with some goofy shit for some podcast ads, but that is a bridge
that's
too
why
far.
I like, well, yeah, we'll podcast ad if they're like it's a nicotine sponsor. It's because you can paint the picture and be like, hey, you know, if you already smoke and you're looking for a healthier alternative and
Right.
you want to get off this, then you can do that. But they wanted me to just do a video where I'm like just doing it
Right.
and like making it sick.
And if
like,
the
funny.
ad is buried 45 minutes into a podcast, then that makes me feel a little bit different about it too.
Yeah, there's something about podcast ads where in my head I go like, yeah, that's fine. Because
Anything.
we'll like promote both. We'll be
Yeah.
like, we'll promote like a lozenge, like a nicotine one, and then also like a company that helps you quit smoking. So you're like, it's the best of both worlds. We got you covered on the front and back end.
Right.
But this was like they just wanted this video to like, and I was like, there's no way that video would have been good or funny, and it just so. But that's just no matter what you do, you'll have a scenario, and especially with like an indie band, it's like
Right.
we'll be indie as possible, but all of a sudden there's like a crazy deal that fucking Skechers wants you to do for their tour, and you're like, what are we gonna do?
Skechers.
Dude, there's a Skechers that
Oh,
just
man.
opened up by my house, and I was like, but at night they lock it and they put bars on the window. I was like, that's a little
To
ambitious.
keep you out?
A little ambitious. You think people are gonna break into Skechers? Like, if anything, leave the fucking doors open. Let the streets have Skechers.
That sounds like if that is a reality, then that means that our streets truly are not safe. If even the Skechers
Skechers.
need to be locked up.
Getting the shape ups, dude. Could you imagine a guy robbed your house in shape ups?
But,
You're
dude-
like, not only are you stealing my shit, but you're also better conditioned than me.
Skechers is the kind of brand though where if a band were to do a Skechers sponsorship, or I'm trying to think of like how I would feel if Lil Baby was doing a Skechers sponsored tour. I
Shit like
kind of
that
feel
happens.
like it's so ridiculous that it would almost be cool in the same way that honestly Travis Scott doing the McDonald's thing
Well,
was
eating Minions, right? Yeah,
it's
it's-
kind of ridiculous, but and McDonald's is different because people really eat McDonald's. Like I don't really eat it, but I know that
Well, but
normal
they
people
also
eat
let him-
McDonald's.
they also let him do his branding and the Cactus Jack. It's like a
Yeah, they
familiar
let
logo.
him make it so cool. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. Which is smart on their end. But I
Right.
mean, I can't think of any ideas right now. But there's got to be so many weird examples where you're like, why?
It would be hard for you to write jokes about the nicotine stuff without the joke being, haha, it kills you.
It would be very self-deprecating.
Exactly, it was probably what they don't
It
want.
would almost be making fun of like that type of guy, and or a guy who would chew that, like a
Right.
guy who's 19 but he's still hanging out at the high school parties. Be like, what's the move after this? And spit some tobacco out. So
Right.
yeah, I don't know, but again, it's like you think you have your answers and who you are, and then money walks in, and you're like, who am I?
Right.
But it's a good challenge. It's a good task because then you have to sit down and be like, okay, good, I didn't do this.
But
I'm confident it'll lead to something else.
Financially, are you in the position that you're like, I can turn down a lot of stuff? Are you very comfortable, would you say?
I mean, yeah, but also there is something in your body of the anxiety. Be like, what if there's never another brand deal after
Yeah,
this?
yeah.
What if there's somebody who's better and they want? What if SeatGeek wants to now go back to this guy or whatever the fuck, So for me, I just came up in like the yes world. I made $40,000 at my when I first moved to LA. My salary was $40,000 working for an entertainment company, and so now that like anything that's like a big brand deal, I'm like, oh, that's fucking that would have taken me so many months on my last place.
Exact
Because I
same.
still think with that mindset that I had in 2015.
As soon as I'm about to turn something down, my brain goes to, well, if you were a normal person, you'd be happy as fuck to be making X amount of dollars a
Right,
year.
right.
And this amount is a significant percentage of that. You would be a fucking lunatic to turn this. It's like that weighs on my brain of like this. I don't want to get a skewed perspective of what money is.
Correct. Right. So that's why when something like that comes in, I'll like really take the time, like, is this smart or is this just like me having anxiety? But there are deals that I've taken just out of like sheer like, oh, okay, fuck it, whatever. And then now I'm like in the middle of it. I'm like, I don't want to do this anymore.
But then you look at somebody, yeah, it hurts your soul when you're filming when you're
yeah,
filming a brand deal that you're really like depressed about. It's like, damn, this is a bad feeling.
But you learn from that and you go, okay, did I take this because there was anxiety or did I genuinely want to do this?
Right. Like I'll give you an example is that there was this chick back in the day that I fucking met and at like a car commercial, right? She was like a model in this car commercial and she lived in San Diego, and I'm so hard up for pussy at this time in my life. This is over 10 years ago that I actually drive down to San Diego for the weekend to stay with her and her roommates with my boys who are going to try to, you know, court her friends.
Yeah.
You know, I'm texting her, and so we already are like vibing, right? So I bring my friends who are going to be the hanger-ons that are trying to get some ass from her friends type vibe, you know? And we're very much in the party stage of our life where we're drinking and doing coke and whatever. And, you know, I willingly probably had sex with this girl for like 6 hours with a condom on, right? And so, but in the process of this, she shows me the weed that she has access to through a guy she knows. She tells me the price. I realize this is good weed and this is a really good price. So the next weekend, I have to go hang out with her in order to buy 10 pounds of weed, right?
Jesus.
And in the process of it, in order to not make it weird, I have to kick it with her for like all fucking day for like 8 hours, and she's trying to hold my hand, and like she has sex with me like multiple
y'all
times.
Are business partners at this point.
Well, like I really don't want to do this.
Shark dank.
So literally one weekend I drive to San Diego just to hang out with her to get ass, and then the next weekend I'm only hanging out with her really for a business transaction. And her being flirtatious with me is like so monumentally depressing that I just like can't even fucking handle it. I'm like sweating. I want to get out of there. I'm like itching for freedom because I don't want to be spending time with her waiting for this plug to come meet up with us later.
Yeah.
Thinking in my head like, fuck, you could have met up with her at 7 p.m. Why the fuck did you come here at 2? Ugh.
And you know, you live and you learn from your business mistakes, whatever it might be. Yeah. So yeah, I don't know. You
probably like that for a prostitute too.
In what sense?
Well, like you could be fucking a guy for money and it's like not a great experience. And that same guy, if you just happen to be dating him, it would be a fun experience.
Yeah.
And I think that's what happens to a lot of OnlyFans girls or porn girls or escorts sometimes, is that they sort of hit a wall where it's like they've had so much sex transactionally that it's kind of hard for them to even fathom what a relationship would be at this point. I've talked to a lot of girls who seem like they're kind of in that spot.
All right, people, we just hit 300,000 subscribers. You know we're trying to hit 400,000 subscribers. So that little red button, tap it, tap in. Appreciate y'all.